Have you ever looked at your life, or the life of someone you know who is genuinely a good person, and wondered, why are they going through so much? It's a question that has echoed through the hearts of people for centuries. If God is good, why do good people suffer? Why does it feel like they're being tested, sometimes to their absolute limit? This is a heavy topic, one that touches on our deepest beliefs about fairness, justice, and the nature of God Himself. But it's a question worth exploring, not to find a single, simple answer, but to discover a deeper, more meaningful perspective on our struggles. Let's start by reframing the question. Instead of asking why does God test good people, maybe we could ask, what is the purpose of these tests? When we hear the word test, we often think of a pass or fail exam. We imagine God with a clipboard, marking down our every mistake, waiting for us to mess up. But what if that's not the right image at all? What if these tests are not meant to catch us out, but to build us up? Think about a blacksmith forging a sword. The process is intense. The metal is heated in a scorching fire, then hammered relentlessly, plunged into cold water, and then the whole process is repeated. To an outsider, it might look like pure destruction. The metal is being burned, beaten, and shocked. But the blacksmith knows exactly what they're doing. They're not trying to destroy the metal, they're trying to transform it. The fire burns away impurities. The hammering strengthens the structure. The quenching hardens the steel. Through this intense process, a lump of ore becomes a sharp, resilient, and beautiful blade, capable of fulfilling its purpose. Could our struggles be like that fire? Could our challenges be like that hammer? The Bible is filled with stories of good people who faced immense trials. Look at Joseph. He was a good kid, favored by his father. What happened to him? His own brothers, jealous of him, sold him into slavery. He was falsely accused and thrown into prison for years. Talk about unfair. Where was God in all of that? But Joseph held onto his faith. In the darkness of the prison, he didn't become bitter, he became better. He honed his skills, his character, his reliance on God. And when the time was right, God raised him up to become the second most powerful man in Egypt, saving an entire nation, including the very brothers who betrayed him, from famine. At the end of his story, Joseph tells his brothers, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." He saw the bigger picture. He understood that his suffering wasn't pointless. It was purposeful. It was a preparation. Or think about Job. The book of Job literally starts by describing him as blameless and upright, a man who feared God and shunned evil. He was the epitome of a good person. And then, in a series of devastating blows, he loses his children, his wealth, his health. His friends come and tell him he must have done something wrong to deserve this. But Job maintains his integrity. He questions God, he cries out in pain, he doesn't understand, but he never curses God. His test wasn't a punishment for some hidden sin. It was a profound, cosmic drama that revealed the depth of his faith and ultimately brought him into a more intimate, personal encounter with God than he ever had before. At the end, God restores Job's fortunes, but the real treasure he gained was a deeper knowledge of his Creator. So, one reason for these tests is refinement and strengthening. Like a muscle that only grows stronger when it's pushed against resistance, our faith, our character, our compassion, our resilience, they all grow through adversity. It's easy to have faith when everything is going well. It's easy to be kind when everyone is kind to you. But the true test of character comes in the face of hardship. James 1:2-4 puts it this way, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." The goal isn't the trial itself. The goal is maturity, completeness, becoming the person God created you to be. Another perspective is that our trials equip us to comfort others. When you've walked through the valley of grief, you can offer a unique and powerful comfort to someone else who is grieving. When you've battled anxiety, you can speak with authentic empathy to someone in the grip of panic. Your pain is not wasted. It becomes a well of compassion from which others can drink. The Apostle Paul, who endured shipwrecks, beatings, and imprisonment, wrote into Corinthians that God comforts us in all our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God. Our scars can become sources of healing for others. Your story of survival and faith can be the light that guides someone else through their own darkness. This also brings us to the idea of perspective. From our limited, earthly viewpoint, suffering often seems random and cruel. We see only a tiny piece of a grand, cosmic tapestry. Imagine looking at the back of a beautiful embroidered cloth. All you see is a chaotic mess of knots, tangled threads, and random colors. It makes no sense. But if you could flip it over and see the front, you would see a magnificent design, where every single thread, every knot, every color has its perfect place in creating the final masterpiece. Our lives are like that. We're living on the back of the tapestry. We see the mess, the pain, the confusion. But God sees the finished design. He is weaving all things, the good, the bad, the beautiful, the painful, into something glorious. Romans 8:28 is a cornerstone of faith for many, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Notice it doesn't say all things are good. Betrayal is not good. Sickness is not good. Loss is not good. But it says God works in all those things for our ultimate good. He can take the worst moments of our lives and redeem them, bringing purpose out of pain. But what about when it just feels like too much? When the test feels less like a character-building exercise and more like a crushing weight? It's important to remember that God's presence is with us in the trial. He's not a distant observer watching us struggle. The Bible repeatedly promises that He is with us. Isaiah 43:2 says, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned, the flames will not set you ablaze." The promise isn't that we won't have to go through the fire or the water. The promise is that He will be with us in the midst of it. Look at the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were thrown into a fiery furnace for refusing to bow down to an idol. They were good people standing for their faith. But when the king looked into the furnace, he was shocked. He saw not 3 men, but 4, and the 4th looked like a son of the gods. God didn't save them from the fire, He joined them in the fire. And they came out without even the smell of smoke on them. Sometimes, the purpose of the test is not just to refine us, but to reveal God's presence and power in a way we would never have experienced otherwise. The deepest fellowship with God is often found in our deepest pain. This also forces us to rely on God in a way we wouldn't if our lives were perfect. If we never had a problem we couldn't solve, why would we need God? If we never felt weak, why would we seek His strength? Hardship drives us to our knees. It strips away our self-sufficiency and our pride, forcing us to admit that we can't do it all on our own. And in that place of surrender, we find a strength that is not our own. The Apostle Paul spoke of a thorn in his flesh, some persistent trial that plagued him. He pleaded with God to take it away, but God's answer was, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Paul's response: "Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me." Our weaknesses become the very channels through which God's power flows. So, when we ask, why does God test good people? The answers are not simple, but they are profound. He tests us not to break us, but to build us. To refine our character, like a blacksmith forges a sword. He uses our trials to equip us to comfort others. He is weaving our stories, even the painful parts, into a beautiful tapestry. He joins us in the fire, revealing His presence in our darkest hours. And He uses our weakness to display His strength. This doesn't make the pain go away. It doesn't mean we should pretend to be happy when we're hurting. God can handle our questions, our tears, our anger. Just look at the Psalms, they are filled with raw, honest cries to God. But having this perspective can give us hope in the midst of the struggle. It can help us to endure, knowing that our suffering is not meaningless. It is shaping us, preparing us, and drawing us closer to the heart of a God who loves us more than we can possibly imagine, and who is working all things together for our good. So, the next time you face a trial, try to remember the blacksmith, the tapestry, and the fourth man in the fire. Your test is not your downfall, it's part of your sacred story. Thank you so much for watching. If this video resonated with you, please give it a like and share it with someone who might need to hear this message today. And don't forget to subscribe for more content that explores these big questions of life and faith. We'll see you in the next one.